Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Ball Games. Here we have Nick on Yorion and Taxes versus Michael on Jeskai. Two very grindy decks. So this will not be one of our fastest Fast Effects. Take a look at that timestamp. Not sure what it's going to come out to, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're in for 15 or 20 minutes here. Cut out to the shuffling as we go. And Force of Negation has stopped this Aether Vial, a key card in the matchup. I mean, Aether Vial is a absolute powerhouse, creating an incredible mana advantage while also making extra utility and value for all the creatures in the deck. Playing something like Flicker Wisp at instant speed, just incredibly disruptive. Gives it so much more utility. And also really closes the window for your opponent's removal. Cards like Prismatic Ending can only operate at sorcery speed most of the time, so you're going to need to handle your creatures on your schedule. Of course, one of the most important cards to hit with Prismatic Ending would in fact be Aether Vial. Decks are really prepared for each other. Rashad and Port can disrupt Michael's mana, though he has a ton of basic lands. So it's not quite as exciting. And honestly, Yorion and Taxes doesn't do as good a job pressuring the mana base as a traditional Death and Taxes list. You don't see Thalia as often. You also run into situations where you're just not going to hit your Wastelands and Ports together as frequently. God and Port's great when accompanied with Wasteland, as you're really restricting your opponent's options and keeping them off of their key spells. But if you're just kind of pestering them a little bit, really underwhelming. Your opponent's resolving spells at will. Ports are probably not worth the use of their mana. One to activate, plus the card. It's not really exciting if it's not really hindering your opponent. Jeskai does not have a threat on board and likely won't for quite a while. I think the only card in Michael's deck that can actually win the game is Comet. Did see Lion Sash head into exile thanks to Prismatic Ending. And Yorion and Taxes need some pressure on board. You really do need some threats. Spirit of the Labyrinth is something. But a dress down in response just to draw a card. And boy, I believe that dress down should be gone prior to that. I believe Michael did draw a card off of it. Maybe he did it during his end step. You can draw one card, so during the end step. And Comet has arrived. Goes up, chooses violence immediately. It's a lot of text to take in here. A 4 or 5 is going to do damage. It does not target. Damage to a creature or player. And Stoneforge Mystic. Comet does serious heavy lifting. I think a lot of people strongly dislike the card because of the random nature and the atrocious flavor. It is actually offensive. Not what we like to see on our cards. People do enjoy things like squirrels in Magic. A little bit of silliness here and there, but Comet itself seems to be a step too far for many people. Stoneforge grabbing Batterskull. I wonder if they'll end up doing a in-world version at some point. Secret lair. Some type of deranged hermit style planeswalker. Bringing squirrels, dealing damage. Rummaging through the garbage, pulling stuff out of the trash. Thalia has finally showed up. That is a turn 2 play with traditional death and taxes that you're really hoping for and can actually mulligan towards versus a lot of decks. Yorion and taxes, for the most part, I mean, you're not really mulliganing over the quality of your turn 2 threat. If it's a Stoneforge, if it's a Thalia, if it's a Lion Sash, I mean, as long as you're kind of curving out, generally just going to go along for the ride and hope to grind people out, eventually adding Yorion to your hand, creating a whole bunch of value. And Solitude Hardcast. This is a crazy board state. We got a Batterskull and a Solitude. There's all sorts of potential for life gain. It'll be difficult to make progress as is. Let's see what Comet's able to do. Shoots down Solitude. That's a nice start. Swords to Plowshares. Clearing the entire board here. Look at that. A whole bunch of removal. I didn't catch if Comet rolled a 6 and allowed for a reroll. I thought it was just a single roll. But if you do roll 6s, those additional rerolls pile up just so quickly, an insurmountable advantage, either creating a whole build your own army, also setting up for lethal 4s and 5s. Once you actually roll to do damage and you've got 8, 9, 10 counters on this thing, that is a lot of damage to the face. You only start at 20. Comet is a closer. Mother of Runes. Rebuilding here. And Eternal Dragon? Timeless Dragon? Timeless Dragon. And Thalia. So Michael completely wiped the board. Nick rebuilding. Michael grabbing some mana that would make me very uncomfortable on the other side of the table. Indeed, it is a supreme verdict. And rolls a 5, so has to go upstairs. 5 damage to Nick. Has a mountain of health, though, thanks to all of the lifelink. Solitude and Batterskull can allow you to get pretty far out of range. Mental misstep, or minor misstep, stopping Aether Vial. And Recruiter of the Guard, probably about the best draw that Nick could hope for. See, Michael has a blue card in hand. Lines. And Solitude can take out Comet, so he will Force of Will here. Gets a Recruiter out of the exchange. Michael could have just Force of Willed the Recruiter, instead allowing him to get this 1/1 body. Ooh, some 6s here. Oh no, this is a lot of 6s. Holy cow, this is horrifying. 15. Another 6. More damage to the face. Wow. Are you kidding me? That was a just violent end to that game. Comet going on a rampage. Michael rolling a bunch of 6s. Higher end of the die. Throwing loyalty onto Comet and then eventually removing a couple of counters, but still doing, 10 plus damage. Wow, at a time, multiple times, just completely wiping Nick out. I mean, he was in terrible spot anyways, facing down, just with a 1-1 versus Comet, but that was an abrupt finish. Do these in one take, so I'm not sure how many sixes that was in a row. Somebody wants to add those up, mention it, we'll go ahead and pin that. Prismatic Ending takes out Mother of Runes. Aether Vial, though, looks like it sneaks past. Digging, not happy with what he finds. Prismatic Ending in Swords of Plowshares is kind of interesting. I don't have my thinking completely sorted out in this matchup. You have the option to Swords and Prismatic Ending. Which one do you want to use in which situation? Prismatic Ending has higher versatility. Of course, if you're removing a 3-mana threat, it is much less efficient. Prioritize using your prismatic endings early and often, then you may not have an answer to other problem permanents, particularly Aether Vial, but could run up against a card like Phyrexian Revoker. Well, I mean, that Swords is going to handle that, but non-creature permanent, I should say. Rest in Peace doesn't really matter against Jeskai, so pretty much just the Aether Vial is the question. And Cauldron shows up, and Humility. Oh, that's not very good. So Supreme Verdict, previously seen as a Wrath of God effect. Cauldron Complete with Humility out is actually a 6/6. Yeah, no, that's horrifying. Not indestructible, at least. I guess he's hoping to Supreme Verdict. Humility's an incredibly good card. Actually, a little biased around the card as it hurts the deck that I play the most quite a bit. Cephalid Breakfast does not like to see Humility on board. It's pain in the butt to remove. Can't Prismatic Ending it. My particular build looking to land a Teferi in order to bounce it. Now Comet on an empty board. Kills the Cauldron. Oh no, can't kill the Cauldron. Only does 5 damage. That was just Michael conceding in the scooping up. Because it is a 1/1 thanks to Humility. The Germ becomes a 1/1, and then the +5/+5 from Cauldron. So, not what you wanted to roll there. And I guess, there you go. That's a strike against Comet. Ace the Mind Sculptor would have been better in that one instance. Skipping over the mulls, looks like Yorion and Taxes down to just 5 cards. Big oof. Not how you want to start out. Especially not with what is probably not a ton of time left on the clock. You're kind of hoping for a resilient draw, really push through some damage. Right, I like this. Thalia with Caracas. About as much as you can hope for here. Resiliency, just a little bit of a clock. Get some friends on board, start pushing through some damage. Even if Michael has some removal, you can rescue with Caracas. This land, not sure if we have any non-basics that are good targets. Of course, fetch land's not the type of thing you want to be targeting with a wasteland. They're sacking it in response. So good. Ability to build up a mana base in the face of disruption. Even a card like Rishadenport, not super exciting against it. And a Hull Breacher. This is a recent video. This one's from July. Hull Breacher was seeing a lot of play previously in the format. Towards the Plowshares. Tries to get Thalia out of the way. A little while just slowing things down. Caracas rescues. I don't know if that means... Yeah, I don't know what that means. I'm not sure why. Not that well. Maybe he thinks he has to push through lethal damage with this Hull Breacher in this short window. Skyclave takes out the Hull Breacher. And Teferi shows up and bounces, giving Michael 3/3 Spirit, right? Blue Illusion. Oh, it's blue. I don't know if that's ever come up. All sorts of options here on how to proceed. Want to clear the Teferi, go for the Throat. First, he's going to have to build a board presence. Going to commit to this board. Gotta have something here. Oh, this is a judge call. That's why the action delayed. So I believe Michael missed a draw. Somebody watching the video here, let us know if we got that right. Looks like he didn't draw off of his Teferi. So yeah, Flicker Wisp clears the token, and Thalia comes back down as expected. And a Mother of Runes. That could hold down the fort pretty well. Obviously, he's still going to be concerned about Supreme Verdict, which is played at instant speed. Yikes, that is brutal. Instant speed Supreme Verdict thanks to Teferi. That Mother of Runes essentially thrown in the trash, playing it pre-combat. Otherwise, Nick would have been able to play a Mother of Runes and have this Lion Sash on board. Teferi has his brother show up, bouncing, drawing cards. That instant speed Supreme Verdict has got to be the highlight of this match. Eternal Dragon gets hit with a Force of Will, or Timeless Dragon. And a Day's Undoing. No Narset on board. Players are going to draw. So it was a step Days Undoing, perhaps? Now Narset is on board, so this next Days Undoing, if he finds one, would be... Oh, and he has. And that's got to be a wrap. Narset and Teferi, 7 new cards. Nick having no board presence and then no hand, thanks to Narset's static ability, moves us to a concession as Michael takes down a very grindy game. Thank you for watching. For more magic from ELD's Time Vault games, be sure to subscribe and check out more videos just for you over here.